Perdona el retraso, ¿eh? Bueno.
All right, apologies for the delay. Joaquín, would you please introduce yourself? Very interesting presentation. Well, we have two stands, one from the Instituto de Empresa and the other one from PricewaterhouseCoopers and the master's course. So in the PricewaterhouseCoopers stand offering 20% discount to Rooted participants. I am a teacher at the Instituto de Empresa master's course, so well, any of them two are really highly recommendable. So, good morning everyone, thank you very much for being here. Well, I know that the two previous speakers were very, very interesting. So how many of you can speak Murcian language? As I said, well, I will try to pronounce words fully and to speak clearly. So my presentation is about weaknesses in the transportation sector. I'm not talking about trains or buses. I'm talking about packages. Well, but I say I want your package. That sounds a bit weird in Spain. So my name is Joaquín Molina. I work for Engineering, and I work all the elements, okay, all things that make me make lots of money. All the Rooted speakers, okay, are highly paid or well paid. And well, if you have any idea where I can make money, just call me or contact me at those contact details. All right, so one of the things that drove me to carry out this research has been there for a long time. So with this, I mean that I started researching on this topic when I started to buy online. And then I decided to bring this presentation here to see whether I could get a Ferrari car as a payment. So, well, actually, one of the things that caught my attention is that government comes out every year with a national strategy for security. And that is very interesting because it also includes transportation. Okay, this is a logo that everyone recognizes. Well, to me, this is an Apple logo, but that is an iMac icon. And this is the icon of Big Bang Theory. And we have the problems with iPhone, the battery, the high price of it. Well, and my report, my research includes all that. And well, the tactics and the tools that I used, well, I feel a bit like Homer Simpsons. And so I just want to indicate that when we are talking about hacking, it is not only about the techniques, the zero and ones, but the lateral movements, thinking out of the box. If someone tells me to follow this way, I just decide to go off track and to take a different pathway. So, well, if you are into security, you will follow my presentation very easily. So this is about using this Burp Suite tool. And well, this is the example of this car, which is wonderful. Okay, the car already knows how to open the door. Okay, current situation. I'm not talking about the situation of the transportation sector, but I am just me who has produced a research and wants to pass it on or to share it with a company. So when you report a vulnerability to companies, sometimes you get a threat in as a result, as an answer. And I said, please do not do anything, do not disclose that to anyone, because we may call our lawyers. We might call our lawyers. Sometimes when you share a problem vulnerability with a company, then they show lack of interest. Another type of lack of interest is occultation or hiding, so no one gives you a chance to listen to what you have to say. And actually, I ended up looking for the WhatsApp number of a CTO. Imagine that you are at home, you're the CTO, and then you get a WhatsApp by me telling you about a vulnerability flaw. Sometimes the collaboration is free collaboration, or sometimes it is paid collaboration. All this has facilitated my report a lot, well, meaning that there are some data that I cannot really disclose to you because I just don't want to end up in jail. Alright, so I will start off with transportation company. It is a company that offers a GPS that allows to track lorries and to have technical information about this lorry. So these people had a failure that had been in the catalog for many years. So there is a token in the website. The website does not expire, and it is the session validation. So instead of not going through PHP, if I'm aware of the token, I already go in. So this is the easiest hacking move in history. And I went to Google and I've seen that Google has cached the token. So this is a session authentication of the company. And what happens? Well, that the company publicizes its system and says, oh yes, this tracking system is spread all over Spain. And what does the customers do? Well, in the corporate website, and I say, okay, you are going to send out a pallet with lemons to Germany. I offer you this tracking for your frames. So they decided to offer this iframe to enter your password, but behind that we have the same URL with the same token failure. So if you get to see the URL, you can already take over. And that's the way I access to the tracking system. So and I could really see what was happening with 30 companies. So this is what you get to see. I gain access to the tracking of all the trucks from very many companies. So those trucks that we see around on the roads. And this is not only allows you to geolocate the truck, but it also, the truck is associated to a plate number, and you can also send in commands for loading and unloading. I could just send an instruction, commands to the truck driver and to tell him, okay, go to Germany and load the truck with, I don't know, these boxes of lemons. Okay, so this is a process failure. This is a process flow. And, well, because they have just included that iframe, I got access to that. And then I went to this, I found these windows, and as I say, I could also have information about the plate number while doing a brute force of plate numbers. That's very highly costly, but often, well, these truck companies often renew their fleet very often. So trying out all these combinations or different numbers to find out the ID of the company was not difficult. Well, they had no quality of service measures whatsoever, number of requests per second, no anti-bruise policy. If you are, well, after 3 or 4 mistakes, okay, well, they didn't do anything, okay, to prevent that, okay, they didn't put anything in place. Well, order tracking. You know where your order is through an ID. Well, when you buy online, you get an ID number and you see you can track your order. So this is very simple. Well, most of the companies I took a look at have this very same problem. And so, well, what is the problem in me tracking orders? Well, some companies show the name, others the street number, others also offer some confidential information. Imagine that I research 3 providers, and then to quantify the volume they do, and imagine that I am a competitor and say, okay, I want to offer you this flat rate. So this is intelligence for the company that should not be available. Okay, so one of the things that I thought doing, I say, okay, logistic operators, there are very many out there, and then I asked my wife for permission, and I say, can I make 50 or 60 different orders on the internet? And I said, yeah, the first thing you have to order is just a rented flat just to leave home. And I said, well, let us see what I can do. Okay, I just looked that up on Google, and I could see what most of the times users to congratulate, to show the satisfaction for the transportation service, they say, oh, this is like very fast service, I'm very happy with it. And then, well, I'll give you an example. Well, this is very rare, but how many of you were told that you were not at home when they wanted to deliver the package and then you were at home? Who is to blame? Well, someone perhaps is to blame for that. They sent out that message, that wrong information. So if I go and study 30 or 4 logistic operators and I take a look at the timeline, I may find different ID numbers. So this was not expected, and then people posted this comment, okay, your company sucks, which is not good. Okay, orders tracking, okay, the technique which is used to avoid or bypass brute force is, well, this sequential ID order. The other thing is mixing that with the postal code. And I'm very proud of the way I just show this. Sometimes they use a well-known hash. This is an encrypted method, so you very easily can find the obfuscation method that they use. And then, okay, let us do a ID with this port. And I always recommend to use a non-predictable encryption. Well, if you want to use the trick of postal codes, okay, there are 10,000 characters, but not all of them have been discovered. So the good thing is that you go to the postal websites and then you download the postcodes, and well, try to do this without not paying any money. So the idea is to use BUP and to use that identifier and tell it to change it for you.
So we see how the different logistics operators give us the information. This is from one operator, this is from another one. This operator tells you that they are a few minutes away, and they tell me about the street.
La zona y viene el repartidor.
If I'm in Murcia, in southeastern Spain, and the guy is coming along at 1:30, and yet he's coming to deliver a parcel for the neighbor, and you ask for your parcel, it might not be in their route at that time, but 99% of the time they will give you the parcel. And here you got funny things. Closed premises. I mean, if you go at 8 o'clock, they probably close at 7:30. Well, the guy in charge of delivering, 8 p.m. Target destination, Barcelona. Here we have one which is more international. Here we have an order from Miami. And again, using brute force, this is what comes out. But with this, I cannot win my Ferrari. Okay? I need to tell you about other things as well. What if I send my orders home? Perhaps Roman would allow this. Anyone knows this company? This is a well-known company because it's one of the safest in Spain.
Me dejan hacer esto en el correo.
So they allow me to choose all of these things. Quite curious. When I say that this is one of the most important ones, one of the safest in Spain, they use this to hide their IP address, but not for their .es address. So we see what the IP address is. They're really cool.
Pero bueno, con ellos no he hecho nada ilegal. Su empresa de transporte ofrece código de postal.
So they offer you the fields for the postcode, for the number of shipment. If you have something that you found in Twitter, by using brute force, I can get it. This is not something I bought myself. The destination is Pinar de San Martín in Madrid. A violin, a Stradivarius violin. I can't imagine myself buying such a thing, but anyway. This is how the process goes on. People ask me, did you actually process that order? I didn't do it because I think this is illegal. Here, this very transport system, transport company, does something similar. The look and feel is very similar. The web services behind the scenes are basically the same. They have providers that don't have integration with model systems, but I've seen this type of flaw in all sorts of websites. They don't usually pay attention to this. Here, Avon, beauty products. You change the address and they send it home. Here, this is the one for the Stradivarius violin. Roman, how are we doing, Ferrari-wise? Okay, another one. You place an order. Origin and destination in Madrid. These are not orders placed by me. Postcode. Wow, secret. And they allow me to get in. Picking it up in the office or changing the address. And this is quite funny. When you start working with this, with the Waterbird, it asks for the postcode and the order number. When you go straight into it, this is what happens. The URL that is going to give me the tracking details doesn't check the postcode. Through here, you check the postcode. Through here, you don't. So this is the route. In payload 1, this is the variable. In payload 2, this is the variable. I change all the ones that have more than 32. Those starting by 30 mean that the page has more contents. Time-wise, am I doing fine? This is what I'm left with. Another one. I've told you about several. I can send parcels home for free from several providers. Take a look at this one. The look and feel is different, but it's the same company behind the scenes. You can access an international system based on whether you are in the EU or not. The intelligence is the same, non-existent. Here they should use something that I cannot interpret. This is a code. If I move around the letters and the figures, I will not get to the data. So I found this page. Do you know it? How many know this page? This is a website which is quite popular when doing auditing, security auditing, to find out about security measures in place in different providers. Perhaps you've heard about another one on SSL tests. It tells you about the quality of the certificate. It gives you a ranking. When you do those checkups, it gives you the option to say yes or no to publishing the audit results. Here we have the URL, and it was sent here. This gives any information about the security headers and other things. What is really striking is that the URL address they used for checkups is what you see here. I'm handling information of this type. I cannot implement any brute force here because I don't know what the algorithm is. But for these 2 characters and these 6 characters, there I can change. 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because this becomes this. With that payload for the last 6 fields, those that had more than 900 could be sent to me. In this case, they used protection for the identifier, but they didn't block any attempts using brute force, so I can have things delivered. I'm not sure you can read this. No. Before, this type of data was not allowed. Now it is. These are not orders placed by myself anyway. More shipment options if you give me your email address. What's next? You clean my house? I don't know what value you can add if I give you the email address, but there's a whole world behind the scenes. You can buy something and have it installed. Here I can change details for a customer in the US, I guess. This is another one that wants delivery at a neighbor's. Things you can laugh at. Okay? So let's see the last case. This is one of the companies that threatened me very seriously. And that's why I say that these are solutions to laugh at. This company had done tracking really well. Everything I examined was fine. I could get the order history, but I couldn't interact with the system. I couldn't change the address. I couldn't have the order delivered at home. But after so many years, when you take a look at the input boxes and the elements, you know that you can hack that. I was bored, I was more or less depressed, and I said 1, 2, 3. How about this? And then the system says, oh yes, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. There we go. The good cop, the bad cop, the angel and the devil. So I wondered, could it be that when they deliver services to the franchises, they do this, they use this user number, and password is the same. The first time you get in, change your password. Does that sound feasible as a business process? Not as a technology. Well, indeed. If the username and the password are the same, we get there, so I got there. It is not that I could have parcels delivered at home, I was within the system itself. I could do anything, launch queries, do anything I wanted. I'm not sure why that was grayed out, perhaps there was some sort of restriction in place, but I was within the system itself. This doesn't relate to tracking itself, but the security in the company, really. What is the way to solve this? Well, some people have your password. There's someone in Murcia in southeastern Spain who knows your password. How about changing it? Well, the problem is I know your password, so your security flaw has to do with me doing things. I can change the password and I can screw your customer, basically. What this solution does is jeopardizing the situation at the franchise. Quick conclusions. There's very little security in critical infrastructures. They focus specially on user experience rather than security. It is relatively easy to place orders to be delivered at home through 5 different companies, and that affects national and international companies. Provided I'm not sent to jail, in my next presentation I'll tell you the same about food delivery. Thank you so much.
Hola. Preguntas.
Any questions? I don't see any hands. There's one over there. Right. Good afternoon. First of all, thank you so much. Spectacular. How long did it take you? That's my first question. Second question, do you expect these companies will use solutions in the near future? We're testing this, the time you've seen. It was... Just imagine that you get the option to do things without using your user ID and your password. So I decided to do this with all the major companies. This is the Waterbird using the user ID for a few times. Minutes, really. Many of these companies have already solved those issues, and I hope that all of them do. This is not because of me, this is because of all of us. I would like the logistics industry to work properly. When they say I was not at home, and I was there, I always get angry. Let us hope that this is useful, and they do things. Another question, somewhere else? Over there, towards the center of the room. Good afternoon. Very interesting. There's something I wanted to mention about something that happened to me a month ago. I bought hardware components. I placed an order. Don't name any names, please. But everything was smooth. I forgot about it. And after a month, I placed another order. And to my surprise, I realized that in the last step, before actually doing the checkout, I saw an address for a Russian guy I've never heard of. And that was in the shop. So as you said, it's relatively easy to modify the address details in the shop, not in the platform. Does that sound logical? Well, first of all, thank you so much for speaking with a Murcian accent. PC Componentes is a really good company because they're based in Murcia. That's not illegal. They have a large volume of sales. They target people like you. All of you are nice people, but you like moving around those systems. They've had many security breaches recently, during last year. Anything you tell me about PC Componentes, I believe it. I never buy from them, by the way. Enough in terms of irony. That's it. A very quick question from me, and we'll now move on to another one. Can you buy hazardous or dangerous materials through these companies? If I bought something like enriched uranium, and I wanted that order to be processed by the transport company, and then someone hacked the target destination, yeah, drugs.
Yo íbamos por el terrorismo, pero vamos, tú vas.
I was thinking about terrorism, but you're going your own way, I see. Most companies have to do with frozen, perishable goods. Perhaps you're worried about enriched uranium, or perhaps someone else is worried about an erotic toy of some sort. But anyway, the ability to access the information within the system is there. Everything I know, I learned from him. I have to say that. Very good presentation. I think we have to talk again. Sometime before Christmas. I need to place some orders at PC RootedCON. Let me ask you. Instead of sending an email message to the company and telling them about the problems, have you ever considered contacting the national institutions regarding in charge of cybersecurity? That's a very good question. Yes and no. If I'm inspired, I try to find people. I try to get in touch with the institutions, but free audits? No, this is not something I'm interested in. For things like these, for contacting the Civil Guard or the National Center for Cybersecurity, I don't usually contact them. But processing flaws, I don't usually get in touch with anyone else. No, I don't audit for free. Very good answer. Thank you so much, Kino.
Un abrazo. Espera que te doy una.
Un paquete. Un paquete.